yet another episode of the Dawning Experience with Chami Morake. Mokhaetsu, it is season 2, and like you always promise, great content, nothing but the best. On today's episode, Miss Amanda Matshaka is a South African Minister of the Gospel, award-winning media personality, businesswoman, bona, but today we get to know Hore ke mang, and we want to go fantuka af. Yes, but let me just remind you, on our social media platforms. On Instagram, it's at Dawning Experience, and not forgetting YouTube, Dawning Experience with Chami Moroke. Sis Amanda, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I am blessed, highly favored.
Amen. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, one intimidator. When you're having a news personality, a media personality. Let me just put it.
You shouldn't be intimidated. You know you're good at what you do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. And I love that. But anyway, Mrs. Amanda Matshaka, let's just get into know Hore. Mang Amanda.
So Amanda is a daughter of the late Funeka and Tutuzeli. I was born and bred in the Eastern Cape province. And I am a mother, I am a wife, I am, as you said, a minister of the gospel. I would like people to know me as such, first and foremost, that I'm an ambassador of the kingdom of God, and then deployed to do these other things.
And you were actually recently ordained as a
Yes,
person.
I was recently ordained, but I've been doing ministry work for a while. Yes, and it's only later in life that I learned that I shouldn't actually define myself by what I do, but by my mission on earth. And so when I learned that, I prefer to be referred to as the minister of the gospel. And it doesn't necessarily mean I stand on pulpits and preach all the time. That's what I do.
Yes.
No. Sometimes I get invited to do that, but ministering the gospel is broad. So, yeah.
Wow. Now I want to fantuka of
Yes.
growing up. How was it?
So I grew up in Mount Frey in the Eastern Cape. These are rural areas, very remote. During that time, it was common for kids to be raised by their grandparents. So I was raised by my grandmother, and my grandfather died when I was about 6, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't really have that much memory of him. So then I was raised alongside my cousins, right? Our grandmother. And so in abject poverty, by the way, I really didn't have much. We relied on my grandmother's income, which was like from government pension, what the elderly get. So all of us were relying on that. Yes, our mothers, because my father passed on when I was about 2. So my mother and my aunts, they were working, but I don't think maybe they were making much if we were suffering like we did. But then again, I was raised in a household full of love and laughter amidst that poverty. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's my background.
So, as you're talking about the poverty, I think from leaving the Eastern Cape, what did that experience teach you, as you were leaving?
I actually didn't leave the Eastern Cape because of any circumstances related to poverty or anything like that. I left because I was purely looking for media opportunities, right? So as a little girl, I always wanted to be on radio. I always wanted to do radio. And our only form of entertainment, by the way, at my granny's house was a little, radio set.
Yes.
Yeah. We had this radio set, and she loved Amabali. I don't know what to call it in her language, drama, those radio drama stories. So we would listen to that, and I was just drawn to the content that was produced by, at the time we were listening to what was called Radio Transkei, TKI, and then it merged with what was Radio Siskai, CKI, and became Umhlobo Wenene. So at the time it was Radio Transkei that my grandmother would listen to. So I had my favorites, and believe you me, at that time, Nolin Maolwana sang. At the time she was Nolin Maolwana. She wasn't married. She was a newsreader on Radio Transkei. So she was my favorite. And then there was Bulelongeu, the Big Apple is still around. Recently retired from Mhlowenene. But those were people that I would listen to and thought, oh, they make this sound so fun. So this is what I want to do. So fast forward to when I graduated from Fort Hare University, I then knew that opportunities were, media opportunities were in Joburg.
Exactly.
So my pursuit was to come to Joburg for that. That's why I left the Eastern Cape.
So you studied a degree in communication.
Yes.
That's when the laugh. Everything started here. So I want you to take me to you joining the SABC. How was that experience?
Yeah. So as much as it was a dream of mine to be on radio, it was not just any radio. I wanted to be, at the SABC. I had always wanted that. So, but I knew like opportunities would come, not necessarily straight from there. So I had to position myself well. So I became part of, community radio stations. So while I was studying at Fort Hare, now I was living in Port Elizabeth, now Gqeberha, with my aunt. And there was a radio station called Ubuntu FM. So during school breaks, I would go there and say, look, I want to be a broadcaster, so please give me an opportunity to join you guys. And say, okay, cool. So I would co-host a sports show. I didn't really know much about sports, but I wouldn't take no for an answer, because the only thing that they had was that. And so I did that. And then at Fort Hare, I made sure that I'm part of something that has to do with media as I was studying media. So I would write articles for ComTalk, which was a student newsletter. Then thereafter, graduated. There was no media job, so I worked at a retail store. But while I was there, I looked for a community radio station. I always looked for a community radio station. Always wanted to media. So I went to BBT in Bloemfontein. Then from there, I was in Pretoria, because now I was working for a bank. So, but I still wanted to be part of a media setting somewhere. First went to Kwakwa. With that bank, and looked for a radio station there, Kwakwa Radio. I didn't know Sesotho. I said, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm just gonna do it anyway. And they said, I know you can use English, it's okay. Then from there went to Pretoria, still with the bank, then looked for a community radio station that was Impact Radio. It's a gospel community radio station. Christian radio station. So I worked there. So while I was at Impact, I kept my dream to work for the SABC alive. So I kept applying and all of that. And so I got a call while I was at Impact, and they told me that there is an opening at CKI, right? Which later became True FM. And then they were looking for a news presenter. So I went for an interview, and then I was successful. And then back to Eastern Cape I went. So now that's how I got into the SABC. And then from there, I worked my way up to Auckland Park.
Look at you now. You were talking about working for a community radio. I noticed a lot of people who want to get into media, they don't want to go into the community to just volunteer.
That is so wrong. All this time that I worked for the community radio stations, I wasn't getting paid. The only community radio station that paid me was Impact Radio. And by the way, I had to, because in pursuit of my dream, I had to make a decision. Yes, I wanted to earn a living. That's why I was at the bank. But I had to decide, you know what? this is it for me. I'm no longer going to be working at the bank
Mhm.
and also in my spare time be at the radio station. I want to fully focus on this.
Mhm.
And so I left APSA and worked for Impact Radio. And so when they said they were going to pay me, even when I left, I took such a huge risk because there was no money. They didn't say they were going to pay me. But I was just done, I wanted to just focus on this. And so I think they offered me to do community news, $600.
Yeah.
I was so happy.
Yeah.
And I actually cried and they were shocked. Why? I said, yeah, like I'm going to do something that I love and I get something for it. But I left thousands of, and so it didn't make sense, to my colleagues there that like, 600 rand.
Yeah.
But I actually didn't get 600 rand at the end of the month. I got more than that. But that's what they were offering. Because then they realized I had more to offer than just community news. I had so much that I could help them with in their newsroom. And so, yeah.
I wish people could realize that, community radio, the best startup.
It's the best startup. By the way, it's just a short story when it comes to BBT. When I went to BBT radio, there was no position for an air. The only position that was available was for the receptionist. I said, I'll do it. Because the aim was to go on air. And so, I became a receptionist maybe for 2 weeks. And when there was no newsreader, I said, I can do this. You know what I'm saying? So you always have to look for opportunities, positions. Don't say that, nah, I can't do that. I'm not going to do that. No. Nah, it's not giving me anything. Nah, I see myself at a national radio station. But where are you going? You have to start somewhere. Because those people called me because I was at Impact. CKI. Yes. Had I not been at Impact, I wouldn't have had any point of reference for them. So even those that I'm mentoring today, I say, find a community radio station if you want to be a broadcaster. Find a community newspaper, find an online news site. If you want to be a writer, start somewhere. Then you build your body of work. Then this is something that you have, you can refer to and submit to where you want to be.
True.
So, yeah.
Because, abantu bane mentality, community radio, they don't pay. As you wake up and
it's not always about money.
Exactly. It's the passion.
It's the passion, it's the experience you're looking for. And that's going to, take you to where you want to go.
And don't be picky.
Yeah. Don't be picky.
So now you are at Channel Africa, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, now I'm at Channel Africa. But just before that, I was on Radio 2000, SAFM. Reading on both stations. And interesting story as well. I had always wanted to be on SAFM, right? And so while I was at True FM, grateful as I was, a regional radio station for the SABC. So, but I wanted to be national. And so when I came to Joburg, it was for Channel Africa, right? So I came, it's an international radio station, even bigger. But I was like, nah, I still want national. You know what I'm saying? So I did work at Channel Africa, but it took me 13 years to get to national, 13 years. So sometimes you don't get things your way there and then when you want them, the way you want them. So I wasn't miserable at Channel Africa or anything like that. But then another, something that people can learn from, I was approaching radio news because the SABC Radio News is a service provider for these radio stations like your 5FM, Metro 2000 and SAFM. And so when you're placed there, then the editors will decide, okay, we'll place you for 2000 or for SAFM as reading. Because 5 and Metro, they have their own readers, but we still provide them with content, right? So I had been approaching radio news, but we don't have any openings at the moment. And this one time I thought, you know what? I've had enough of this. I went again. Look, I'm looking for this. We don't have. I said, I'll do it for free.
Yeah.
So now you don't have an excuse.
Yeah.
So I'll do it for free. Really? Yeah. Okay. Can you come tomorrow?
Yeah.
And so that's how it started. And again, people are like, why would you do that? I mean, you've got experience and blah, blah, blah. Why would you want to do something for free? But it took me I joined them in September. In December, they offered me a contract. Because sometimes you have to prove your worth.
Yes.
But we have a generation that says, I know my worth. I'm not going to do that.
Yes.
Well, the other person doesn't know your worth.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you can prove that you're an asset, because once you're in, then they realize, oh, we need this person.
Yeah.
And so that's how I got in. And so realized my dream, to be on a national radio station. But then it wasn't just one, it became two. Right?
Wow.
There was two national radio stations, Radio 2000 and SAFM, as well as Channel Africa. I was still there.
Look at God.
Right? So this is just how the Lord works. And then was quickly promoted to editor, national, one of the national news editors. And then Channel Africa, because you asked, am I there? Yes, I am. And on a capacity of editor as well.
Whoa,
Yeah.
With the 13 years as you were talking about it, I'm thinking of Manje. I'm sitting with an award-winning news presenter. How was it, Jabati? You are an award-winning.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing indeed. And, when I submitted my entry, it was at a time when there was this big transition in my life that had to take place. It was in 2015. The Lord was speaking to me, saying that I have called you. This is not what I've called you for. Yes, I've been behind it, the journey and all of that. But remember, I said I learned a lesson that I shouldn't refer to what I do as who I am.
Yeah.
So it was during that time that the Lord wanted me to have things aligned, that you are not what you do. As much as the gift and the talent comes from me, I have a higher purpose for you. I have called you, into the mission field, and this is what I want you to do. But before you can do that, I want you to plug out and then go to Bible college, And so radio was my life at the time. So this is how I was defining myself. And so I said, okay, if you want me to do that, show me a few things,
Exactly.
Show me a few things. And so one of those things I said, I'm going to submit my entry.
Yeah.
So let it be a nice goodbye,
Yes.
let me win. And so it happened.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, okay, I have no excuse now.
Then you got it.
Because it was one of those things.
Yeah.
So it was quite an achievement for me, quite exciting, and affirming, and and I love it. Yeah.
And not forgetting being nominated for the Basadi in Music Award.
Yes, yes, that was awesome as well,
Yeah.
And the reason why it was such an achievement for me just to be nominated is because it was for something that I had started from scratch. You know what I'm saying? That I called my own.
Yeah.
So it was amazing. So I was nominated for the Basadi Music Awards for the Entertainment Journalist of the Year for SA Positive News, and on a news site that I started under Anointed Media, 2015. So a lot happened in 2015, and so it was just amazing, man. It was great. Yeah.
God. Before I get into the other things with Dawning Experience, I love to tap into, because you are a minister of the gospel. What is it what's the scripture that keeps you going?
It's a simple scripture. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And it resonates with me because I sometimes get people say, you do so many things.
Yeah.
How? Why? And I always say, to me, it's not many things. It's one thing. I'm a communicator. And I use different platforms to do that. Whether I'm on radio, or I'm editing news. This is something that we're communicating to people, or I'm doing something for Anointed Media, my company, or SA Positive News, or whatever platform. I am communicating, so I'm a communicator, and I can do all these things through Christ, who strengthens me. And whether I am called to preach somewhere, it's not my strength, it's not my doing, it's Christ in me who gives me the strength to do what I'm doing.
And you're doing everything. There's motherhood, there's being a wife too.
Exactly. And it's not me.
It's him.
It's him. It is only through him.
Yeah.
Yes. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to do it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. And now I want us to get into you being the founder of Anointed Media.
Mm-hmm.
Take me through it. When was it started?
So this also started in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
When I was now going to Bible college.
Mm-hmm.
I had left full-time media work, and little did I know that it was going to birth Anointed Media. And through Anointed Media, I was then supposed to do PR, and start an online news site, SA Positive News, and basically do that. And also do content creation for the platform that I love, which is radio. So that's how Anointed Media started. And so it had PR that we were promoting, started with gospel artists, and we're still doing that, but also small businesses, right? Because we know that some media companies are not quite easily accessible because then costly. So a startup might want to be on radio, but they don't have enough funds for a radio ad that's 30 seconds and you pay a lot of money. And so to bridge that gap, then we would help a small business owner to be on different media platforms to talk about their businesses at an affordable fee, So you pay Anointed Media an affordable fee. We make sure that people get to know about your business, or you are an artist, you've just released your music and you don't necessarily have money for these big PR companies to take you on board. Then you can come to Anointed Media and you still deliver and you still be heard, you still get airplay. So basically that's what Anointed Media would do with PR. And then with SA Positive News, having worked in the newsroom, we deal with hard news. I would come across people that said, "No, I just don't listen to news. I don't watch. I don't listen. I don't read, because it's depressing. Sometimes it would be my colleagues. So I'll perhaps be checking over the weekend. This is what happened. Be like, oh, when I'm off, I'm off. I just plug out. I don't want to hear anything. It's depressing. So I thought, well, yes, we need to tell everyday, stories, hard news, what is happening. But also, there's also good stuff that is coming out of our country. So we need, to tell the stories as well. And we shouldn't leave it to just the last story in the bulletin, the tail ender. Yes, it's good to have a tail ender, but you also want to have a platform where it's just good news and good news and good news, And so that's how SA Positive News started. But then the thing that I like the most about that platform, apart from giving an alternative to people that don't want to listen to hard news, is the fact that we have created that platform to train upcoming journalists. So that by the time you are done, you have a body of work that you can say, I've done this, I have this portfolio. Because gone are the days where people are saying that, oh, well, I couldn't be employed because I don't have experience. Because you've just graduated, of course you don't have experience. So we work with journalism institutions and say, okay, give us your journalism students. Maybe they're doing their second year. Let them do this work. By the time they graduate, they have something they can say, this is what I've done. So that's basically what we also do. SA Positive News. And then if you're talking about the content creation I was talking about for radio, I had an opportunity to create a radio show for Channel Africa, to produce a radio show that was called Life by Design, that I produced and presented for 3 years. I'm sure you can tell now I'm about inspiration.
Yes.
That show was about inspiration, life by
Yes.
design, people that were telling stories about what they are meant to do in life. And most of them would be people that, like me, were plucked out of something that they thought, well, this is my life, and they're doing something that is aligned with the purpose that God had brought them here on earth for. For instance, I had the likes of Dr. Tumi, whom we know is a medical doctor, and now he's a gospel singer. I had a preacher of the gospel who's also a medical doctor, Dr. Kunle Osware, and others, inspirational people, the likes of your DJ Zintles, your Skidos, so many of them. So yeah, that is the kind of content I'm about. So even an opportunity that would be presented to continue doing that, definitely go ahead and do it. Yeah, I'm about inspiration, man. I'm about helping people align themselves with the purpose that God had created them for.
Sis Amanda, a lot of young students actually, they no longer want to study journalism because before we would know to journalist, read what's this, newspaper, magazines, and all that. Do you think that they understand the broadness of journalism?
I think they do understand the broadness, but they've also been surprised at how it doesn't really pay well. And young people these days, that they're not about that. And I commend them for that. They're not about that.
I would know your worth.
I would know your worth. They're not about that. So, but what I've realized is that if you know how to use your skill and not necessarily do one thing and one thing only, it can be rewarding financially. But then again, you're looking at passion here, right? So I was driven by passion, and those that are still with us in the industry are driven by passion as well. But then again, if you are excelling at what you do, the offer will be much better. True. You have the likes of Robert Marawa. I'm sure he makes a lot of money, Tibo Touch and them, so it depends on where you are placed and how good you are and how you've positioned yourself and made yourself someone that, they can let you just pass and not be given what you are asking for. So yeah, they shouldn't be deterred by what they hear that it doesn't pay well. But do you love it? Then go for it. Be good at it and find a bit that this is mine and I'm going to shine in this one. Like I made mention of Robert Marrow, whom we know is very good when it comes to sport. And maybe if it's news for you, or if it's program presenting for you, or it's producing, because we have excellent producers who are doing very well. So yeah.
Please, guys, don't limit yourselves.
Yeah, don't do that.
Sis Amanda, you are a woman who does a lot of things. There's also your philanthropic work that you do. Tell me about it.
Yeah. So I believe that whatever it is that we go through in life is meant to be part of what your purpose is, right? So remember I said I grew up in poverty.
Yes.
And so I realized that was not just for me to say it, but what do I do for those people who are still experiencing poverty today? So that's how the philanthropic work came about. So I started an organization called Kingdom Helpers of Africa. It first started as Women of God Africa in 2012. I approached a couple of friends. I said, look, this is what I have in my heart to do. I mean, I've experienced poverty. I'm an orphan. And yeah, so what this organization does is to help people that coming from previously disadvantaged communities, that is the poor, and orphans, as well as widows, right? Again, these are people that are close to the Lord's heart. He says to take care of them, the poor, the widows, and the orphans. So that's what Kingdom Helpers is about. And also preaching the gospel, so and meeting needs as well. So we put the two together. So we'd go to different areas, we'd go to rural areas. We've been to Northwest, KZN, Eastern Cape, and we also do some of our work here in Johannesburg. And the main area that we are helping at the moment is Zandspruit and other areas as well. And then we've adopted 2 orphanages that we always, help and make sure that the kids there are not forgotten, and some widows as well that we try and see how we can assist.
And doing this, it's not easy. You need sponsorship.
It's
You
really
need a lot
not
of support.
easy. You need a lot of support, which doesn't come easily. We need sponsorship. And yeah, we're hoping that we'll be able to get there. We're not there yet, but we'd love to. But people have, joined us in our efforts to make a difference through the different programs that we do. For instance, we have the memorable matric dance experience, which we have tailored for matriculants in orphanages, because they also need to look good and enjoy their matric dance. So we've had people giving us beautiful clothes, and the girls getting their hair done, their nails, their makeup, making sure that they have a beautiful matric dance experience. We'll get rides for them. People would say, offer their cars for that particular occasion, and making sure that the boys also look sharp in their suits, So people have been really helping. Yeah, man, and we are grateful, and we would like to have more people join us, in the work that we do.
Oh gosh! But the Lord sees, and He shall provide.
Amen, amen. And He's been faithful.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So, Amanda, let's get into the South African Heroes Award.
Yes. One of my faves.
Yes.
Yeah. So through SA Positive News, right, we've been profiling good news, positive news, and there are people behind the positive news that we're talking about. And so we came across community builders, people that are doing amazing work in their communities. And I thought, well, it's not enough to just profile them on SA Positive News. We want to celebrate them. We want to say, we see you. You're doing an amazing job. Keep going. It's just a pat on the back. And give them a platform to shine. And so that's how South African Heroes Awards came about, founded in 2019. And this year it's the 6th installment of the awards. We celebrate community builders. We started with only 5 categories, and now we have 10 voted for, 10 honorary, so we have 20. And I can mention a few. There's women empowerment, there's youth empowerment, there's rural development. We're not forgetting people in the rural areas are doing an exceptional job. There is community service, there is community health, there's specialized care, there is business empowerment, and I'm not mentioning others. Oh yes, we have the ones that we have introduced this year: Community Media of the Year and Community Journalist of the Year, because the stories that we get to hear about are told by journalists that have invested their time to making it a point that we hear these stories. Okay, so we want to also honor them as well. Then we have Community Builder of the Year. This is a category that finalists, once they have been selected, then they get to say, okay, we know we are all finalists, but one of us is really doing well. And so they vote for one of them. We've seen this done in pageants, that where you look outside yourself and say, okay, Miss Personalities should be this one, not me. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we're also saying that, hey, yeah, you're doing a great job, but who among these ones here do you think we should honor as Community Builder of the Year? And then when it comes to the honorary awards, then we have Ubuntu. This is a veteran community builder, someone who has given back for years, and they've gone on to produce a other community builders. That's how
Wow,
long they've
that's
been
amazing.
doing it. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And for example, last year we honored Zola 7.
Like Zoo
Yeah.
7.
Zoo 7, right?
Yeah.
So, because we know we grew up watching the amazing work that he's been doing through Zola 7, a show that was on SABC 1. But then again, this is something that he lives, right? So, so we're looking at that. And then there is leader of influence, for instance, and there is art of giving. People who are giving through art, who are empowering through art. Last year it was Kabonina when we launched it, Kabonina Kubeka, who started the Kabonina Kubeka Foundation, and she's doing great. She is empowering kids in the Eastern Cape. She relocated to the Eastern Cape. She lives in Port Alfred, a beautiful, beautiful coastal town in the Eastern Cape. She goes to schools. Through her dance academy, she's been empowering young kids there. So there is just a number of people that we are honoring. And so, this is something that I'm very excited to be doing. And we invite people to nominate their community heroes. If you want to nominate yourself, fine. Tell us what is it that you're doing that makes you a community hero. If you're nominating someone, tell us what makes them a hero in their communities. And then you send that to info at... Yeah. info at saypositivenews.com. They can nominate storytellers, that are sharing stories that our community builders are doing. So,
I'm thinking of the Zola 7 one. The Zola, I saw it last year. I thought of how lately in the industry, people forgot about him. And he was going through a lot. You could see that. And then there would be that thing of, South African music artists, they just, when they are down and out, they need the help and all that. But the fact that you guys recognized him for all that he was doing back then, that's what we need.
That's what we need. That's what we need. And if you notice also the icons, without giving away much, even this year, there will be some that we know who are in the spotlight. But you'll be like,
that's why.
You know what I'm saying? So we don't want to forget people that have done so much for us as a society. We want to say thank you for the work that you've done. Just as much as we're celebrating ordinary South Africans who are doing extraordinary things in the voted for categories. These are people that have not been seen or heard of, but we're saying, hey, you've been doing such an amazing job. We want to celebrate you. We all want that. Exactly. Yes, as much as we're not doing it for accolades, but it's nice to be recognized and be like, oh, okay, someone sees what I'm doing. That's what we do.
Another thing, starting this thing, it's not easy, Sis Amanda.
Tell
me about the challenges that you experienced.
Not at all. It's really not easy. And something like this obviously needs funds.
True.
And I want to say thank you so much to a young man who is the founder and CEO of Muhlalifi Engineering by the name of Martin Masidise. Because he's also a giver, he said, look, I want to make it a point that this continues. And so he's been very helpful in making it a point that the awards happen, because we have to have trophies, we have to have certificates, we have to have a venue, we have to have a lot of things. And so he's been sponsoring us from 2020. But again, we need to improve in these things. So there's always room for more. For us to also grow the awards, to add more of these categories, to make it look more beautiful, and to the standard that we would like it to be. So there is always that room for more. That if you'd like to come on board and sponsor, feel free to contact me and let's partner. Let's make this something great for the people that we are recognizing. So the challenges have been there that we'd like to do more for our people, and so we've been limited. But obviously when I started, I had to use some of my own money.
That's how it is.
That's how it is. And you start something, you have to fund it
From
as
the
well.
pocket. Yeah.
from the pocket.
Mm.
And so, yeah, man, so those were the challenges. Of course, then COVID
Happened,
hit as
yeah.
well. And in 2020, then we became virtual. We did it virtually. But yeah, we've been improving each year, which is something that just makes me happy. It gets bigger and better,
Yeah.
as it should,
Yeah.
right? But we always are looking for sponsors that can come on
Mm.
board, and definitely will give you, a return on your
Best.
investment.
Talking about that, I want us to look at this trending issue, like let's say looking at the summers.
Mm.
Remember last year there was this thing that the summers lost a venue. And then now they had to find more sponsors. So you get to see these are the challenges that you guys experience within this.
Yes, yes.
You lose the sponsorship, you have to find another one. Hey, Dawning Experience is sponsored by DreamStream. If you'd like to support us directly and gain ad-free version of our episodes, click on the link below.